try to get this to go live 1 minute early, and then do this eco map video. It's like 1:40. I still hate this presentation view. Okay.
This is Ecomaps and Social Work for Vermont and Beta. So what is an ecomap? An ecomap is a visual representation of family relationships with a wider environment. So we would include the names of the client and families. So in our case, it would be the Jones family and Donald. It will show the status of relationships between the systems meso and macro. So between work, church, school, and it shows, like I said, the status of relationship. And then if they have any areas of strength or of conflict. Also, what is the purpose of an ecomap in social work? I think it's a great way to show the areas of support that a family has. And it shows how much energy is required to keep each relationship going. There's good energy, bad energy, shows strains between families and wider environment systems. And it can also show stressors between systems that impact families. And who creates an ecomap? The social worker and the client will create the ecomap together. The social worker explains what an ecomap is and guides the family. To create the ecomap of the family is the one who identifies who and what should be on the map. And these are two examples of what an ecomap can look like. This one looks a little bit more like a genogram.
That's a big
but
genogram.
It also shows you the relationships between others like an ecomap does. And these are the references.
I feel like everybody uses that Van Hook reference. Interesting. Okay. Actually,
okay. So the burning question is always, where do we start? So let's start our eco map, where we start most things by centering ourselves. So I do like using Sharpie, but I like using pencil to start because sometimes you want to move things around and make adjustments. So pencil is a smart way to go. And I'm going to use this fancy little palette,
geez, she's getting real professional. I mean, it is nice to make it look nice. I don't mind that. Like this one was good looking too, like at the top. This guy. I don't think it's touch screen. We have. How does these things work? Because it has like something to write on the TV. So yeah, basically these help with your clients. There's one last video at the end. Say you were meeting a client for the first time and you were doing an interview of how to do it. And this is like out in the field. So what you do, are you a sophomore or a junior now? Okay. So you do your field internship. Does that make sense? And like junior or senior year, you go work at an agency around here or something. And if you were to make a map with a client, I've worked at, my internship 20 years ago, I had to do home visits and I was so scared. I was like, I do not want to drive to people's home. I don't want to. But it wasn't that bad. Like it was welcome service. It's not like I was going in on something they didn't know. But this is I saw how they interviewed here. And I'm like, this is a good way to like make it real for somebody on a quick interview of the family. So I'm going to do this one also.
So at what level, we kind of talked about, so do you want to look at it from your level, from Ethan's level, from a family?
I think from family level.
Okay. So I'm going to put a triangle right in the center. This is your family. So tell me how you define your family.
Okay, would be my husband Scott.
Okay.
Myself.
Okay.
Big sister Cece. And little brother Ethan.
Okay. So now just think about, from your family triangle, outside, what are some supports that you have? And think about them really broadly. Just kind of brainstorm.
Well, I think it's important to do, for at least us, another triangle.
Great.
Outside of it, that would be another level of family.
Okay, great. So you see, kind of see it over here?
Yeah, and I see it actually
Bigger than
encompassing. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do that. Okay. So tell me, who would that be?
that would be extended family, which would include my side of my mom.
Okay,
Do you want all aunts and uncles listed?
however you want, it's for you, this is really your record to kind of help you think
Okay.
about who you are.
So, two of my sisters.
There's always kids in the background yelling.
Two brothers would be Jeff and Charles.
Okay,
And then on this side, let's do Scott's, that would be his dad,
mhm,
sister.
Yeah.
So that would be Wendy,
Wendy, okay,
John.
Okay.
Kelly.
Okay.
I think that's probably good for extended. I mean, I could definitely go bigger than that, but that would probably be my immediate extended triangle of whoever
great.
go forward.
So
So that's support.
So you're a big support. So now we've thought about your immediate family and kind of your extended family, your triangle of life. What other supports are out there, things that surround your family?
That surround me would be, I'm in grad school, so that would be a strong support in that I'm in the field of education and prevention.
Yep.
So for my son needing supports, that's been huge. At him. And then, along with that, I would say, church is a big one.
Mhm.
Great. Work's not necessarily a support for helping in terms of emotional, but definitely that financial piece.
Great.
More specific.
Yeah.
Work for me as far as family as well as financial would be at Life Center Pleasant.
So,
All right, so, I have to go back over here because I always get confused. Make sure so was it challenging to do your eco map or your genogram when you were doing them? Okay, they're not that hard. That's why, shoot, I don't know if this wants to play. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to revisit mine just for like the sake of, because I also, I was going to say, I now have, did you take class with me a year ago? Was it at intro? Fall or the spring? I think it was the fall. Yeah, so we didn't have the weird coronavirus.
No,
Is it bad in the Bahamas? Like,
it's getting better actually.
so nobody has to wear a mask, really?
Yeah, we have to wear masks.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, we didn't have as high now.
Right.
But I mean, we're smaller. So.
Yeah. I used to visit Nicaragua every 2 or 3 years, and he said they don't have much of it down there. So since I had that social work class, I got married in December, so I think I was telling you guys that. So, and we added on June, we added a baby girl, and then now this year in May, we're gonna add a baby boy. And my two sisters probably have the oldest, actually my other brother. So one of them over here is, were you born in 1997?
Me?
Yeah.
I was born in 2002.
Okay. So you're about, actually, I guess that would be, so my godson Brody was 2004. I'm trying to see how close in age you are to them. My niece Clara was born in 2000. And then this one just finished, so she could actually have a family of her own. She's the oldest of all, So my parents have mostly grandchildren, girls, a few boys. And I mentioned some of the different things that were cancer runs in the family. On this side, even some alcoholism. For the eco map now, I mentioned work, so you could get as detailed as you want. So I have teaching at Central State, so CSU. Also work at the private practice with like on Monday and Wednesday to see a few clients. And then on the weekends, I do hospice. Do they have hospice in the Bahamas by chance?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so similar to what we have. Is their tax systems the same? Do they like make you guys pay taxes? Is your funding?
We pay taxes, but it's kind of different. We don't have to file taxes. It's just that they add on to like the prices of things.
Oh, value added tax?
Yeah.
The VAT, is it like 15% like it is in Canada?
I think it's right now at 12%.
Okay. Because I remember the money has like the queen on it still? Or is that only in Canada? Hello, how are you? Okay. So yeah, I've added, so for me, work, this is the one that's due tonight, so I'm just kind of getting more detailed and showing videos on EcoMap. So I guess I kind of did 4 generations. That's my mom and my dad. Those are my grandparents up here, and then my brothers and sisters, and then all their kids. So big age range too, because the niece that was born in 97 can now have her own kids, and she's going to have a cousin that's born in 2021, and 2 of them were born in 2020. He had one born in 2019. 2020 pandemic babies. So yeah, work at Central State University, the private practice and hospice. Family, I don't know if you guys have noticed this lately, but this could be something that, like if you're doing a private practice session with a client, I have not seen my family very much this year because of the pandemic. Like my parents are in their 70s, so whereas maybe you guys moved home for a minute, or did you stay on campus?
I did online options.
Okay, so you were home from March until December? Whoa, that's a major change. Okay, so that's one thing I've noticed with the pandemic, just that some of you may have more family and some of you might have less family. You know what I mean? Like we stayed away, even church. It went totally online. Like we didn't go to church, even St. Leo's Food Pantry. I've been back since they've opened up, but it's different. Some people have mentioned this with the pandemic. Their exercise is less or their exercise is more. It depends on which way you went. You know, maybe it was, I actually got in a car accident in May, so I have a torn meniscus and I can't run. I haven't run. I'm starting to run again, but I took several months off. And then even leisure activities, you know, like I used to hike every year. I don't think we hiked this year. Sometimes I would ski or snowboard in Indiana. There's not as much that. And then even, would you guys say you've seen more of your friends or less of your friends since the pandemic? I feel like. Right. Yeah. So if you're in a session with somebody kind of identifying all the stressors, like I've had more people come into the private practice and have anxiety or depression because of the pandemic than I've ever seen in my life, you know? And then of course there's school. There's a lot of research and videos that school is just different online. It's just, you know, it's just not the same. So some ways to identify stressors, also identifying, you know, like family histories and whatnot. So I just wanted to do a quick review of those because it's due tonight. So I just wanted people, you know, if you guys had any insights from doing it or questions about doing it, things like that. Because I feel like I just had these insights today, you know, like, holy crap, I haven't seen my family at all. And then you probably had to move home and felt like you were back in high school again, maybe. Was it any different, or was it just like?
I wanted to come like this semester because I felt anxiety and depression went off because of myself a lot. I had my parents at home, but I mean, like, I related to like being around friends. I was around friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like I had to be on top of things. I felt like I was going to miss a deadline or something.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me anxiety, and I always checking my school to be like, do I have something to do?
Right. Yeah.
And
Totally.
I'm back and I'm around friends, stuff like that. It's good.
Okay. Did you notice anything, just even with the last year, how different stuff have been, or insights about the pandemic?
Seeing family less.
What city are you from?
Chicago, Illinois. And then like moving here. So it's like hard for me like to go see family and stuff.
It is. It's, and to mention that like now, if you have to travel to see family and the economy's bad, that costs money to see people, and it's hard, paying for everything. So, okay. I just wanted to, yeah, for whatever reason, those insights came to me, and I'm like, I know I've taught a lot of people intro to social work last year, so I'm even thinking my genogram has changed since then because I got married in December, we had a baby in the summer, now we're having another baby in May. So it's like totally different, everything's, it's life. It's just kind of how things roll, and you guys are both social work majors, right? Because I think this class is all social work majors. Okay. So I also had, we finished with that slide last time, but the newborn reflexes, have you guys heard of any of these? I guess there's two obvious ones. If the writing's big enough, ouch, that's the corner. So, right. Which I think my baby is just about to crawl. She's 7 months old, and she's starting to sit up, and like she kind of, she can get on all fours, and that's usually 7 or 8 months. Walking could be anywhere from 1 year to 2 years. Like it depends on how much you carry your baby around. Like if you have a smart baby and they're lazy, they're like, just carry me, dude. I don't want to walk. That's like, I had a couple nieces and nephews. One of them didn't walk until she was 2 because she got carried everywhere, and she still doesn't really want to walk. Rooting is when you are firstborn and feeding the baby. And if you just kind of do this and they turn their head, like rooting towards the source of food, if it is a bottle or a nipple. So let me see if I can get into these other, because I had another video too that was helpful about, because there's some I had never heard of, and I'm like, I need to look these up actually, because I feel like it was the palmar grasp. Yeah, or the tonic neck. So the newborn reflexes, and you can do these tests. This is how you can like test for if the baby does different things. Oh, I need the videos. Well, the startle reflex is kind of a normal one too. Are these?
Hey everyone, it's Sarah, registerednursern.com, and in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to assess the Moro reflex in a newborn. And this is also sometimes called the startle reflex. So this is seen when an infant hears a sudden loud noise, they will do this reflex, or if they experience an unexpected movement, like if you go to lay them down and you lay them down where they're supine and you're supporting their head, and their head is just a little bit lower than their body, and you lay them down on a surface, they will do this reflex. So what it looks like is that the infant will throw out their arms, hence extend them, and the palms will be upward. Sometimes they'll move the arms back to the body after doing this, and they may even cry. And this reflex tends to disappear around about 6 months of age. Okay, so that wraps up this video on how to assess the Moro reflex in a newborn. And be sure to check out our other videos where we demonstrate how to check the other type of reflexes in a newborn.
Is that one of them? Oh. So that was one I hadn't heard of. Here's the rooting one that I just described to you guys that was a little bit helpful.
Hey everyone, it's Sarah, the registered nurse, RN.com, and in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to assess the rooting reflex in a newborn. And this is seen with the infant's cheek or side of mouth is stroked. The head will actually turn towards it, and the infant's mouth will open in an attempt to suck. So this reflex is really helpful in helping the baby find their food source when they want to feed. And it tends to disappear around about 4 months of age. Okay, so that wraps up this video on how to assess the rooting reflex in a newborn. And be sure to check out the other video.
So yeah, there's a lot that the doctor will do assessments on. I don't know the Palomar grasp. I keep forgetting what that one is because I'm.
Hey everyone, it's Sarah, the registered nurse, RN.com. And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to assess the Palmar grasp reflex in a newborn. Palmar means we're talking about the hand. So this reflex deals with something with the hand. So you can get a response out of the infant whenever you place a finger or you stroke the inside of the infant's palm. And whenever you do this, the hand will close around it. This tends to disappear around about 4 to 6 months of age. Okay, so that wraps up this video on how to
I like
assess
how quick her
Palmar
stuff
grasp
is.
reflex in a newborn.
Some
And be sure to
people-
check out the other videos.
Some people talk for like 20 minutes and then they get to the point. I like how she's like right into it. Then there was the tonic neck. I've never heard of this one before either. I don't know if she'll have a video on it, but we shall see. And the doctor looks at these things to see if there is any type of challenge with the baby developing properly. So these are some of the things they can check. I'll go to this one. We don't have that lady, so we might get a little bit more talking. Or no talking. I'm actually going to go to one that might talk because that might explain what the challenges are if they don't have it.
Asymmetrical tonic neck reflex. The asymmetrical tonic neck reflex is tested by carefully turning the infant's head to one side, which typically results in a tonic extension of the extremities on the facial side and a bending in the contralateral extremities. This reflex is also known as the fencing reflex because of its resemblance to the typical position of a fencer. The asymmetric tonic neck reflex is present at birth. Its purpose is to train muscle tone, hand-eye coordination, and balance. The reflex physiologically disappears after about 6 months of age. Before this age, involuntary motor function may still interfere with the reflex, making it sometimes difficult to observe. However, abnormalities such as a diminished, persistent, or abnormally long reflex may indicate an impaired motor system.
So these are all the things the doctor is looking for to make sure the baby's developing properly. Social workers can provide assistance through like Help Me Grow. I don't know what the Moro is. So Moro and Babinski are the last two that I've not seen. And I guess Babinski is the that was more when we were carried like on our backs. So there it is. They kind of like stroke the foot to see if that might be better. Oh, the way that gets to the point. Good. Okay.
Hey everyone, this is Sarah, registered nurse RN.com, and in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to assess the Babinski reflex in a newborn. This is seen when the bottom of the foot is stroked from the heel upward along the outward part of the foot. So what's going to happen with this, you will see the big toe dorsiflex, so it's going to bend backwards, and the other toes are going to fan out or spread out. And this is what you want to see in an infant. Now, in an adult, you do not want to see this response. I actually have a video where I show you what a normal and abnormal Babinski reflex is in an adult, and you can check that video out if you're interested. And this tends to disappear, this type of response, around about 1 year of age. Okay, so that wraps up this video on how to assess the Babinski reflex in a newborn. And also,
All right, so I'm gonna go back to, those are some of the reflexes again, because it's hard to like ask a baby, you know, like the doctor goes in and it's not like they're gonna ask questions like, so how are you developing? How are you eating? How are you doing anything? And the baby's not gonna respond. So they do some of these tests on that slide. You can see if they have normal development. I was going to say, is there any other ones you guys want to see in here? Because that one, I feel like the doll's eye is really creepy, but here we go. We'll try that one. I got to go back over here. And I got to go backwards. It's really kind of creepy. I'll probably have to type it better than that, but let's see if there's. Have you ever seen the dolls that have the moving eyes? You'll see it.
Come to doll size. See how we can go back and forth, the full range of motion, 80 degrees. And then we're going to do vertical. Okay. I don't know what to do with this, huh? Yeah, there. Oh, you can smile for me. Smile for me. Yeah,
So I think the eyes always face forward.
Good.
I'll try to get a better video. That video kind of sucked.
Okay.
If I feel like they always stay forward. Let me see if there's a better one that would show it. No. Hopefully somebody explains it, maybe that nurse again, but they're always like looking. They open when you lift them up too. You ever have one of those dolls that the eyes always stay forward? Do you know what I'm talking about? And you'll move it, it'll be like, I don't know. It's let me find another better video because that again,
This is a real good, if we could hit her, oh, she's going for it. See the way her eyes go back and forth? Oh, she's looking at the camera. There we go. This is she doesn't have the doll's eye response anymore, reflex, because she follows the items with her eyes, which she does all the time. So that is, because she does not have the doll's eye reflex anymore because she does. She's a perfect 7-month-old.
the creepy one. Let's see if usually when you hit all, it will give you the explanation because I don't think anybody. So when the baby's lying on their back, turn the head of the baby to one side. You will observe that the eyes of the baby don't move with the movement of their head. Okay, maybe I'm getting it backwards. It's not that it's like the doll's eyes that always. Maybe that's in horror movies when you see like the doll, like, you know, like Chucky or something. But this one is saying like when you turn the baby, they're always, you know, like the eyes just are kind of straight. They won't stay looking at you. When they get older, they kind of like will focus on you or like turn their head or whatever. Let's see if there's any other videos or images. So yeah, basically the baby is always, I had it backwards. The baby's always just kind of like looking forward or whatever. I wish somebody would, I wish that nurse would have a video on hers. Oh, this is why. I was like, why is it getting all these? So, doll's eye reflex. Just because they're developing differently or doll's eye sign. You guys see any on here that would look better? Now this looks like it'll show you what the brain does while they're doing it. So maybe this is why it does it.
Once a reflex, it is called as oculocephalic proprioceptive head turning test. It is a test of brain function. The patient's eyelids are held open while the head is briskly rotated from side to side. Positive is conjugate eye deviation to opposite side. As head rotates to right, both eyes deviate to left side. The interpretation of hbse reflex varies between ages and situations. In healthy newborns, this reflex is easy to elicit and normal finding, used to test the range of movements. In healthy, normal vision overrides the reflex, so it is absent. Eye follow head turning. In coma with preserved brainstem function, doll's eye is positive. Demonstrate brainstem functioning normally. In coma with brainstem damage, doll's eye is negative because neural circuits of reflex are impaired.
So I guess as an adult, you can test in a coma that the same thing. But the baby doesn't look at you. It'll just like look over there if you turn his head that way. It'll look over here if you turn it. I don't know why that one's so creepy, but it is. Maybe the music sounds like some horror music or something. Have you guys ever watched Chucky? Is that big in other countries too, Chucky? What's that? When my brother's little daughter acts up, he says, "You're acting like Chucky," and then she gets more mad, like, "No!" So it's kind of funny. Okay, any other ones that you wanted to see that I didn't get to? Again, crawling's like 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and then walking could be like 11, 12, 13 months, all the way up to 24 months, depending on how you take care of them. Oh yeah, so this is what we talked about last week, that now they do this sensitive period called the golden hour. So right when the baby's born, they don't wash it off and they have mom hold the baby because that bonding time is so important. So importance of early mother-infant contact has impacted hospital birthing practices, including skin to skin. And they even did that with me. If I could find the picture that's funny, is they stamp their feet, like they take a stamp of their feet onto the birth certificate. But she still had the ink and like got it all over my chest. So they have the men do skin on skin and the mom do skin on skin. Breastfeeding and other contact for encouragement. 15 to 20% experience postpartum depression and anxiety. I actually have a friend who experienced male postpartum depression, so I was going to see if he was going to come in and talk, but driving from Cincinnati is like an hour, and I don't think they're going to pay us mileage to get him up here. Central State is hard to get mileage from, so if I drove him, that could be one thing. And then baby wearing is a therapeutic tool. So now a lot of them are, you see all those little devices where you carry the baby on you, like it's like a backpack or even the front thing or swaddling. So healthy babies do need the support and stimulation in the home. And that's sometimes hard because, and we're going to have a video on this about the, I think it's our discussion for next week, but it's called the, something about mom just staring blankly and not giving a reaction to the child. And the baby immediately picks up on it. Like, and the examples I would give is if parents are alcoholic or even mother is still using drugs or heroin and say you like shoot up and nod off and people think the baby is just a baby, it'll sleep or as long as I feed it. Well, that's not true. The truth is the baby, they're learning, firing neurons, millions per minute. Their brain development is so crucial from that first to the third year that that's how why they have intervention programs that provide support, education, encourage prenatal care. So social workers, we have the Help Me Grow. They have a few other stuff for premature babies and lots of different programs from 1 all the way to really like 13 to 17. And then also there's cultural differences among newborns. So if you guys were to notice any differences, say even African American versus white or Latino babies, are there any you've noticed even just observing in public or on TV or anything of that nature? I know we could dig into the research and find it, but I've noticed at our church where we have about 300 Burundians, one thing they do more that we don't do, we're kind of getting that way, but they swaddle it. Like they have like, it's almost like a cloth and they wear the baby and you see it like the head is closed, like it's wrapped up like, and I don't feel like I see that as much. Oh yeah, let me go this way. And like not so much that. I guess that's swaddling. I want to think. It's almost like you're wearing the baby on back. So maybe I don't even know if that would be the proper. Like so, even like this. Well. And then I'll see when they're sleeping, they just they wear usually this, and I guess the colors indicate certain tribe. And when the baby is sleeping, they even pull that over their head, and they're just closed and like against the mom's back. You know what I mean? I don't see that as much. It looks like they're trying to mimic it, but I still feel like there's, I see it more at my church with folks from Burundi. So they are starting to do more designs that have this like that and, these different designs. But dang, now that's like, could you balance the bucket on your head while carrying the baby while walking 1.5 miles? Because I don't think I can. I could try. When we were working in the field and like picking tomatoes, sometimes I would see them, I would try to balance stuff on my head like that. I am not good at it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a learned skill. I wonder what city that is. Now I am curious. Because it almost looks like India. Nope. Oh, they said that's an actor. What the heck? So I'm just trying to think of different things. Maybe even, it looks like it's a video, but I don't think it is. Okay. So I'm trying to think. Okay, one thing I noticed on Latino babies, because I lived in Nicaragua for a long time, they pierce their babies' ears younger than I've ever seen babies' ears pierced. Have you guys ever seen that before? Like newborns almost. They got ear piercings in. So that's one, I'm just trying to think based off of observation. I'm sure we're gonna have to pull out the book and dig into the book, but there's research on the differences on how we all raise our children differently. So now this is something, you said you're from Chicago. I don't know if the infant mortality rate stretches up that way, but in Cincinnati, we apparently have it very bad. We got a lot of federal funding for this. So the rates of infant mortality in the US are higher than most developed nations, like say Europe and maybe even US is the worst. So our mortality rates were 6.1 for white infants, 14.1 for black infants, and Hispanic infant mortality infant rate is about 6% also. That is an older stat, but the primary reason for death among white infants was congenital abnormalities. And then with African American infants, it was low birth rate. What do you guys think contributes to some of these differences? And what are some policy implications? Like, what could we do as a social worker advocate to try to make low birth weight? I feel like doing WIC. Have you guys heard of WIC before? It's a policy that's for women, infants, and children, and they give more cheese and milk. It's kind of like a food stamp, but it's specific for women's and infants and children, and you get like access to dairy and cheese and milk, and it's like supplemental food. I think what contributes to these is food deserts. Have you heard of food deserts before? Okay. That one I'll dig into also. I bet Chicago has some food deserts. We have a ton of them in Cincinnati. I lived in one until I moved last year. So a food desert is inner city. Am I going to spell it wrong? Is that food dessert? Great. That's not what I wanted. Maybe I should put something like policy, because we're trying to change this in the United States. So there's a lot, all the major big cities. There's one, that's Louisiana. Usually if you don't have a grocery store with a mile and a half of your house, that's considered a food desert. So I had no grocery store for fresh greens and vegetables and other products. So we'll crank on this one real quick. Call that.
Where you call home might say something about your income or your culture. Well, what about the food you eat? Well, it turns out Baltimore City is a massive food desert problem. Catherine Hall is here with a course of tonight.
Jamie, it's a problem that is easily overlooked, but 25% of people who live in a city have a hard time getting their hands on an apple or a salad. Researchers say they're starving for access.
Too many neighborhoods in Baltimore have more shootings than playgrounds. Abandoned buildings and trash far outnumber the job opportunities, and buying a bottle of vodka is easier than buying vegetables.
What's around here is not real good. I mean, stores on these corners, you got like little petty stuff. There's no fresh food, no fresh vegetables.
In Midtown Edmondson, the closest grocery stores are more than a mile away, but a place that sells cheap chips and fried food is at the end of your block. So finding healthy, affordable options for meals is difficult and inconvenient for many people living on these streets.
I catch a cab or catch a hack. Just go shop, but it's expensive.
There's a few corner stores you can get food if it was absolutely necessary. But as far as fresh fruits and vegetables, you would have to travel and get in the car or take the bus or I guess get a cab or something.
Crystal and her 7-year-old son Tyler live in what's considered a food desert, basically meaning getting healthy food is a struggle. In the city, this is a reality for 1 in 4 people.
It's discouraging and makes you want to move to a different neighborhood where you have more access.
But the problems caused by living in food deserts go far beyond not having fresh foods at your fingertips. And Baltimore City is very aware.
We've been researching the food environment for some time.
Amanda Bazinski and her team at the Johns Hopkins Center for a Livable Future works with the Baltimore Food Policy Initiative to map out the city's food environment. Researchers came up with 4 factors an area needs to meet to be considered a food desert: distance to a supermarket, poverty, vehicle availability, and supply of healthy food. Back in June, they released a report showing where the problem areas are.
Certainly the areas that we see lower income, there's been less investment by businesses and by the city over time, and I think have left some of these areas without the resources they need.
But it's more than just access to fresh foods. More than 1/3 of African Americans in Baltimore live in food deserts. So do 30% of school-age children. And the consequences are clear. People living in these low-income neighborhoods also have more health issues like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity, which means they also die younger.
There isn't one solution that's going to fix this. It's working with store owners, it's educating the public, it's looking at transportation strategies.
That's where the city's food policy director comes in. Holly Freistadt looks at policies and works on plans to get food into the deserts. The vegetables she's loading in that bag are a great example. A local urban farm grows the goods, and city employees who opt in get them brought right to work.
The city has a food desert retail strategy, and what we really look at is how do we attract and retain grocery stores? That's one strategy. Another one could be looking at how do you get farmers markets in communities that accept SNAP food stamps. Another strategy could be looking at healthy corner stores. How do we work with corner store owners and community members to be able to get healthy food right where they live?
It's easy to overlook food as a serious issue in the Charm City, but it's one that needs attention. And people who call food deserts home are starting to realize that.
With the health, the right nutrition that you need, you gotta have a good store with healthy food, fruits, vegetables, all that stuff. Households don't have that, but hopefully we'll get that.
There are plenty of people here that would love and need the services.
The health department has been hosting.
All right, and then I like other videos similar to this, get the push for like urban farms. Have you guys seen the increase in urban farms and like any cities that are? I would imagine Chicago has some, but there's so much concrete, right, that it's hard to like grow. Detroit has a lot of them. I don't know. Have you seen any in Chicago at all? So there's like more funding for things of that nature and people growing. Just the ability to grow our own food because, getting access to seeds and other policies that can make that more available to grow our own food. Even at Central State, we have like a big garden space over there. We're about to get more acreage over there and just trying to grow more than just hemp. They're growing a lot of hemp, but growing food and doing different things to end the food desert. So getting towards, I forgot I'm not on. I hate presentation mode. I never can see what's going on. All right. And then it makes it smaller when you try to look at the PowerPoint on here. So that's some of the policy stuff. Some social risk factors. Again, this is all into the nutrition of the mother that has the baby in the womb the first 9 months. Some other policy implications besides urban farms and food policy, WIC, getting access, women's, infants, and children, other food stamps. Cincinnati has a big initiative to have food forests everywhere instead of food deserts. So like planting more fruit trees around, getting more, we have about 85 inner city urban farms, like gardens, even if it is just like a space this big and that's it, like a city block. Other things that can be a social hazard besides poverty is domestic violence. So 1 in 4 women are physically abused during pregnancy. Maybe there's a fight. One of them doesn't want the baby. It increases the risk of a miscarriage and also low birth weight and preterm labor. And then prenatal information to obtain during the assessment is like the gestation, birth, and the newborn. So like as a social worker, a lot of this stuff, and I still ask this on my assessments at the private practice, like did you have an early birth, a premature birth, or a normal birth? And then did you walk at a normal age, crawl at a normal age, and talk? So that kind of like would wrap it up with I know that we're moving quickly there as you're going from pre-birth, 9 months in the womb, to walking and talking. So that kind of like crushed through it. So if I were to finish on anything, I'd do this, which is the food desert part, ending food deserts. I know that we're at a minute left. So
if you can imagine flying into LAX, you know, the pilot will say we're coming in Los Angeles, the weather is great. Look out the window to your right and you'll see Hollywood. And if you look out the left window, you'll see the rest of South Los Angeles, which is an ocean of communities. You will not see any grocery stores when you look out the left side of your window of the plane. You just won't. It's not just. It's an unjust system. Communities get left behind by the free market as far as access to healthy food options. A good example would be the 8th Council District. The average resident who lives in that council district drives 12 miles round trip just to get to a grocery store that has healthy food.
12 miles.
So it's a lot of Los Angeles. These are areas where oftentimes the fast food industry will infiltrate. It really perpetuates the cycle of obesity and diabetes among especially migrant communities and people of color.
Everybody here has the opportunity to pitch a project. And so I said, okay, well, I have an idea. Let's do something about food deserts, because I live in a food desert. And so let's see if we can do something utilizing technology to help people that have immediate need to access healthy food.
Food Oasis is a map of food resources in the city and county of Los Angeles. So whether it's food pantries, food banks, community gardens, or farmers markets, we list them all here. And so based on the person's location, we can basically show them, okay, well, there's a farmer's market here. Did you know about that? And then they would be able to find the food pantry that they might not have known existed.
It is high tech. You know, we are using cutting edge programming and coding and all that stuff. And what's fascinating is that we're really using it to address something that's as low tech as you can get, which is growing food and then distributing it, sharing it with community.
Aloha! Welcome to the garden.
Volunteer here, and I've been showing my son what it means to grow your food, where it actually comes from, and also providing for ourselves, you know what I mean? Being able to kind of supplement the small income that I have. I used to be a preschool teacher, and a lot of my students didn't know the difference between tomato and potato because they come from a lot of low-income families. Fresh fruits and vegetables are really hard to come by, or whatever the case may be. So having this access, this space, emotionally, I mean, it definitely lifts my spirit because it's something that I've been wanting to do.
So this one's winnable. And I think that's really what's fun about it, is that this is so winnable. Like, we can turn our food system around. And of course we have to, because we have to globally grow as much food in the next 40 years as we have in the last 40,000 years combined. At the end of the day, this is about empowerment and empowering communities with new tools. Hopefully, one of the byproducts of that process will be healthier children and fuller stomachs.
My super grill. Other than last meal.
all right, I know there's a ton of info on this. I'll try to get you guys more, but nutrition, brain development, baby development, even us, adolescent development, you know, like I say for me, self-care, drinking more water and eating more vegetables is hard for me because I drove by Big Boy today and I could order, I'm a vegetarian, so I got excited they have this vegetarian sausage, 2 over easy eggs, and I have my own chickens at home, but that was cooked for me for $8, and I got some hash browns, you know, like not the best, but if I could have added some spinach fried in with the eggs that I have at home, I'm putting a hot lamp on my chickens so they don't freeze to death. And hopefully the honeybees make some honey. And then I'll be starting some seeds here soon, you know, just like in the windowsill. And there's stuff you can grow in your window of your room or in pots at your dorm or whatever. So just infusing with ideas for self-care. Y'all have any questions or thoughts or ideas or opinions? Don't freeze the next 10 days. We will not get above freezing. And a week from now, the low is -6. So dress warm, enjoy the weekend, do some more eco map if you haven't done it, enjoy the weekend if you have already done it. And yeah, we'll look at some of these tons of documentaries on food deserts that are starting to pop up. So that's good. So that's all I've got. My computer didn't die. Yay.